Welcome to Planit Butter, my world where I hopefully inspire you to build yours by being Intucentric, an immersive experience. Every episode is designed to provoke consciousness through entertaining perspectives and applied Intucentric philosophy, while recorded in a variety of international locations. As I embody my Intucentric way, you reflect on yours, and together we have occasional guest episodes where we visit other worlds and learn something cool. I'm Jordan Alexandra Blizzard Planet. This is from my planet to yours. Thanks for joining me in episode 116, where we are doing a part 2 of Staying Rogue, as episode 113 evolved into being more and more about my love with Chippy, my car, who has been based here in Los Angeles, California since I was 22. I'm now 30. There's a huge, wow, the squirrel is holding a huge nut. Nice work, kid. All right. Chippy can also be found in my digital art compositions and both books on planetbutter.com as the transforming convertible on the world of Planit Butter. In real life, he's this adorable vermilion red convertible, also in the podcast cover art. That said, guys, I knew this was going to happen deep down, but it wasn't time until it became time. Meaning me being in LA and saving Chippy. I left off episode 113 saying to you guys how I was in the middle of a negotiation with this girl about Chippy, and we'll kind of see what happens. And I almost flew to LA to then drive him to Santa Barbara to the mechanic over there and all this craziness. Watch episode 113. 3 countries, 1 episode, Staying Rogue. But for now, I'll update you. So after that episode, literally the next day, I could not send the contract that I wrote to the girl who was willing to buy the car. I couldn't do it. Nothing in my body was letting me do it. And we were already in Hawaii. We were already mid-mission, wrapping up the mission. And I couldn't do it. And I'm like, Chippy? So I took a step objective, a Planit Butter step objective, up and out of society, detach emotionally, mentally, physically, to the best of our ability, so that we can re-immerse in the situation, much more empowered and connected to ourselves and those around us in the given context. So in my step objective, it's like, Jordan, you say, and you've like, not even say, Chippy is branded. He is a branded asset to your business, Planit Butter. Is he not? Yes, he is. So what the fuck are you doing? Go get him. So I'm like, I know. And I've known that, and I've said that, and I've thought about it. I almost flew to LA when I was in Florida before I went to Brazil. And I told you guys that in episode 113. The amount of times I've considered coming to save Chippy, but it wasn't time because the universe was bringing me other places. So it's not so much saving Chippy, it's like realigning with Chippy, because I had my path that I needed to take and Chippy had his path that he needed to take. And then suddenly it became time for us to reconnect. And so we did. So I clarified my boundaries in my step objective, and then I respected those boundaries. And I booked a flight that night that I clarified and respected my boundaries regarding Chippy. It was insane. I mean, it's not insane because it's what we always do, but I didn't realize, I just didn't totally know, but it wasn't the whole time with Chippy. It was like, of course, the most exciting thing was like, go get Chippy. I love Chippy missions. Anything with Chippy is like, it's so fun, which is why I anticipate a road trip with Chippy once he's out of the doctor. So anyway, that said, it became time to save Chippy. I booked a flight. I rescued him with the tow truck, brought him to the mechanic, who I refer to as the doctor for Chippy. And Chippy and I had a good little love session at the mechanic after they jump started him. And when they jump started him, I wasn't by the car yet, and he jumped. They were like, oh, but if I move the wire, as I'm walking over, he goes, yeah, he started, but if I move the wires, it stops. But I'm walking over, and Chippy kept running. So I was like, he just needed his mother around. And there was a couple other little things that happened where they were like, oh, this is an issue, and I would be like, let me talk to him, and I would just say something to Chippy and he would be fine. So I'm like, why don't you hire me for the time being to oversee this Chippy operation, because I know my baby. Anyway, Chippy's at the mechanic. We are in LA. Magic is among us. I anticipate a road trip. Let's see what happens next. Oh, I did want to call myself out for some limited thinking there for a second when I was on the verge of selling Chippy, which we never were really on the verge, but I came pretty close, which I guess is being on the verge. Anyway, in the end of that episode, I said, if I'm selling Chippy, or if this is really happening, then obviously the Planit Butter jet's coming. And it's like, whoa, girlfriend, chicky girl, what are you talking about? Obviously, we can have it all. So I just want to retroactively correct that limited thinking moment, because that was crazy. I can't even fathom that I said such a thing. So unlike us on Planit Butter. Obviously, we get Chippy, we get more cars that we feel like buying when we feel like buying them, and we get the Planit Butter jet. Duh. And maybe a boat. Whatever we want. Boat. That reminds me. One of my favorite compliments is when people tell me that I make them want to smoke a joint. Whatever makes your heart sing, open that brain up. Let's break down your mental architecture together. So, despite the illogical nature of saving my boy Chippy, it was my alignment. And so we're here. An overnight flight and straight to the tow truck. Yep. Anything for Chippy. All right, guys. Let's see where we go next. And we're still here. Still in Los Angeles. Still in this hammock. New fit. New perspective. New growth to put on display. A new Blizzard's dictionary term, guys, is public display of growth, which happened to release just a couple weeks ago. It's exactly what it sounds like. And in my public display of growth for you people, in line with this ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, near unfathomable story with my car, Chippy, I'm here to continue to wrap this story up. So, upon my experiences here in LA, while I've been entirely affirmed that I am in the right place and I'm doing the right things and we're growing, we're evolving, I think I thought that I came to quote unquote save and realign with Chippy, and I think I did in a sense, but it's more of like a last hurrah. I think I didn't have the heart to release Chippy from a distance, because it felt like I wasn't taking my full personal responsibility with my ownership of this vehicle and frankly my relationship with the car. It's like that car has been with me through so much. So of course I feel morally sound by being in person on the ground, passing the car over, signing my title over, not from a distance, which was a big reason I couldn't pull the trigger. And it is such a significant decision and milestone. So yeah, being the one to do that feels much cleaner and responsible to me, which is why it felt like the exciting responsibility to take was to come here, do a Chippy mission. And the thing is, in doing that, it's surfaced naturally a significant part of being Intucentric, oscillation. Oscillation is the wavering between who we've been and who we want to be. So of course, being in LA, where I've been previously based at another point in my life, and dealing with car logistics and things in a very present, physical, tangible way that I haven't dealt with in 2 years is going to introduce severe oscillation, wavering between who I've been and who I want to be. So my present self, the version of myself who's this 30-year-old woman that travels the world and records this show and does all these things, is re-meeting the energies of a younger version of myself. And this is where we recognize and appreciate time not being linear, because that's the oscillation. It's wavering between who we've been and who we want to be. And those circumstances surface that subjective experience of time shifting, because time not being linear is really just because of our perspective dancing through it as I see it. And because time is a subjective experience, it's not the labels that we put on time. And that's why age is just a number, society says. It's because it's your growth, it's your experience, it's your soul, it's your actions, it's your responsibility, it's all of these things. So while it was necessary for me to put my feet on the ground here in LA, reconnect with Chippy, it is also 150% time for me to release Chippy. And now that I'm here, I feel much more capable of doing it, and like I'm embodying the fullest of my responsibility, which personal responsibility through Planit Butter's lens is the willingness to do more, do less, and pivot what we can control. And in this public display of growth of mine, through my experience, through my Intucentric way, and my detachment from this vehicle and all the energy that I've cultivated with it and growth that I've cultivated with it over the years, has become just a very significant moment in time. And I will be laughing so hard at these episodes very soon. But right now it's pretty crazy the way I'm going back and forth, and I'm sharing all of the back and forth with you guys. So I love being able to do that. I really do. I'm truly embodying my philosophy. Like, I am showing you how messy it is. Like, I'm not talking about the story retroactively. I'm literally recording myself as I'm like, I was waking up like with my intuitive things that I get surrounding the car, needing to sell the car, needing to release the car. It's like, while in the beginning of this episode, I touched on the limited thinking of we can have it all. It's like, yeah, we can, but also some things can't come with us. So there's a way to dance through that. And that's what I'm actively navigating and putting on display. And so I do believe that, yeah, we can have it all, but I also believe that evolution requires releasing things in order to move forward. So I think, what is that? Newton's law? We literally have to release things to go forward. And I think I give this reference to some friends recently. Yeah. And it's like with monkey bars, you know, when you're swinging, you literally have like a split second where you let go of one to be able to get to the other. So I'm like, currently Chippy's the monkey bar over here. And I'm like, am I going to let go? No. Oh, okay. We're going back. Well, we're going forward. And that's the oscillation. We're going back. We're going forward. And it's like, Chicky, off you go. So while romanticizing a potential road trip with Chippy was fun, it sounds way more fun to me to keep my bopping in motion, and also just welcoming whatever is unfolding to unfold, because we've still got those puzzle pieces that I shared with you in episode, was that also 113? Damn, 113 was a crazy episode. Those puzzle pieces are still looking really fucking good, but Chippy is part of that. Chippy is a puzzle piece that actually, he might just like be, maybe that puzzle piece needs to just like stay. It's like his job in the puzzle's already done. Like, I'm not figuring out where Chippy goes anymore. Maybe that's a good way to put it. That said, my random page read from my new book, Intucentric, Becoming a New Breed of Human Potential, today, right before recording this episode, just so happened to be from the chapter called Ready Is as Boundaries Are. Here we go. It's not super helpful to tell people to just do it when they don't feel like they can or they're not ready. There is such a thing as ready, and the readiness comes from our alignment, resulting from our boundaries and our commitment to them. The timing of our readiness is entirely based on our individual timeline, our development and expression of our healthy ego. Intucentricism. It's not easy, but we can choose to make it fun. Feeling empowered is fun. On Planit Butter, we cultivate the mental ability to experience the feeling of readiness and the drive to take action on whatever we're ready to do through our clarity, inspiration, and fun, which fuel us to self-reflect and self-connect. What are my boundaries in this situation? Is this situation crossing my boundaries? And this is the part where we discover if we're ready or not, whether or not we respect our boundaries, and if we're willing to upgrade, and where our delusion kicks in. And I share more on the concept of delusion in a later chapter. We'll pause there. So guys, in my public display of growth, obviously, from the outside, it's easy to say to me, sell Chippy, just do it. It's even easy for me to say that to me in my objectivity. But I didn't feel like I could because I wasn't ready. And that readiness resulted from my boundaries and my commitment to them. And I was wavering between which version of myself, which boundaries we were respecting. What's interesting to me is that with oscillation, we're respecting different version of ourselves boundaries, meaning the different versions of ourselves have and respect different boundaries because of the context of our lived experience at each time in our lives. So I was respecting the boundaries of honoring my younger self, her love and loyalty to Chippy, and the branding component and the visions of putting Chippy in these immersive pop-up events, which is weird because I'm actually actively planning those now. So I'm like in a weird position where I'm like, well, I know I need to sell Chippy because that's the point we've reached. And I'm also in the earliest stage of organizing this event in a more tangible way than I had previously only envisioned it. And also selling Chippy. So I'm like, damn, because I was like, I would love for Chippy to be a sculpture at this event. But also, that's really not a, it's like, it's gripping. It's just gripping for so many reasons. Chippy's just been feeling like a weight to me since I've been here. It doesn't feel free and exciting. It feels like a weight. It feels like I had to be in person to become ready, to tap into my current self and my future self's boundaries, the direction that my life is already operating in versus the oscillation that I'm experiencing by re-immersing in an environment that requires my former self and those logistical components to be at play. Like the amount of time and energy that Chippy is taking up right now just by thinking about what to do with him, it's like you could just release that energy. Like there's so much space to just release. And those other puzzle pieces I've told you guys about a little bit, well, that they exist, are like right there too. And I just feel like the way energy works, I'm like, Chippy's taking up so much energy. I bet once I release him, all these other really cool puzzle pieces will also find their place in the Planit Butter puzzle. And that's what I'm genuinely mentally organizing with myself these days. It's pretty wild. and silly and true. So there you have it. The filthiest story arc. A ridiculous relationship with a girl and her car, Chippy. Oh, Chippy baby. All right, guys. On that note, I am going to remind us time is sinking, and I will close out with a little snippet from the latest article from the Planit Butter publication, planetbutter.substack.com, from February 10th, 2026, The Upward Spiral. Integrity plus integration. Oscillation, defined on Planit Butter as the wavering between who we've been and who we want to be. Integrity and integrate have the same root. The root is the Latin term integer. It's equivalent to wholeness. When we as Intucentric beings are wavering between who we've been and who we want to be, it's really helpful to stay on the phone. Recognize time is sinking, and our personal responsibility is to remain in productive relationships with our ego and our intuition. Our integrity is strengthened by our ability to integrate the respect of our boundaries. Our integrity is informed and demonstrated by our ability to integrate who we've been into who we want to be. You can read or listen to the rest, again, on planetbutter.substack.com. Thanks for your support during this, as I've said, ridiculousness, filthy story arc. What a time. I'm very excited to see where we go from here. Eek! Welcome to part 3 of this episode. Time has sunk. I have integrated, and we are in this upward spiral. So yesterday, February 11th, 2026, became the day to sell the boy Chippy. And today, February 12th, 2026, myself and Rick Rubin will both be receiving the hardcover version of my book, Intucentric, Becoming a New Breed of Human Potential. Now let's rewind, take a Planit Butter step objective so that we can re-immerse into this context. What am I talking about? How is this possible? What's going on? So we're kind of tying together episode 112, titled I Don't Really Know and I Can't Really Tell You, along with episode 113, titled Staying Rogue. Episode 112 revealed Planit Butter's mission to Hawaii, as well as acknowledging puzzle pieces that have come to light. And these puzzle pieces do have to do with Rick Rubin. And episode 113, Staying Rogue, was filmed in 3 countries and became about Chippy. Now this episode we're kind of combining the two. So I needed to get myself so excited to sell Chippy because that was the only way to fully detach, and the only way to take full responsibility was to show up and be in person with Chippy, signing the title, doing all the things, sitting with him, giving him some love, saying goodbye, saying thank you. And in order to get excited, I had to take that Planit Butter step objective, review the bigger picture of me, my life, my trajectory, my boundaries, all these things, what we would call on Planit Butter our evolutionary staging, which is the universe's choreographed response to our personal responsibility. So I reviewed my personal responsibility at large, and I do the best job I can to recognize patterns and intentions and trajectories. Though we cannot predict outcomes and we cannot expect certain outcomes, and we don't really know, we can recognize the trajectory that we are informing. And so that's where the step objective is very helpful. The labeling of evolutionary staging is really just to appreciate the patterns of our life, the recognition of our personal responsibility, as well as the universe's role in our personal responsibility and how the universe responds to our personal responsibility. In my efforts to get myself excited, one, the obvious, Chippy is not part of daily operations, and he's not part of the intended operations. I intend to keep traveling this world and recording this show in the variety of locations and let Planit Butter evolve as it may. So that's the obvious. The less obvious is this crazy pattern that I pinned. When I got Chippy's title reordered from the DMV, which was in LA a few months ago, I had to go in person with my ID, with some other proof of whatever, in person at a California DMV in order for the DMV to issue a new title to me stating my ownership of Chippy, which is required if I want to make a sale. And I just need it regardless because it's my title, my proof of ownership. And so, being that I've been mostly international and hardly in the States, let alone California, when I was here, became the time to get this title. Now, when I got the title, when I ordered the new title, I walked out of the DMV and to my right was Def Jam Recordings. They changed it. And that just about blew my mind at the time, because that experience happens to me and I'm like, a Chippy mission and Rick Rubin shows up? Interesting. That's a synchronicity. It's minor, quote unquote, but it's a synchronicity. And so I noted that as the pattern. Now, fast forward, it became time to sell Chippy, which I absolutely had to do in person, which is why we're here and where we're at. So yay. I love you, Chippy. And I realized, holy shit, that Rick Rubin puzzle piece from 112 and the delivery of the book now being to Rick today and the sale of Chippy being yesterday is noteworthy. So it was title, Def Jam Recordings, sale, Rick Rubin receiving my book. Very interesting, don't you think? So my excitement came from, look at this life you've built, Jordan. Look at the personal responsibility you've taken, Jordan. Look at how much energetic space Chippy is taking up right now and likely blocking in your path, Jordan. And I'm like, damn, okay. So what was the excitement pivot? The excitement pivot was, obviously, we have to let go of Chippy so that we can move forward. And what is forward currently showing us? Forward is currently showing us tangible connection to Rick Rubin, who we've been calling in to support the Planit Butter mission for a year. So, perhaps, maybe we're selling Chippy and then Rick Rubin is flying us on a private jet and recording our podcast in the jet, which is part of the Planit Butter jet dreams. Maybe. It's possible. That's the funny thing. It's not only possible in the sense of like anything's possible, it's possible in the sense that I literally mailed this man my book. That type of possible. He physically has my book, my phone number, my email address. He has access to me. effortlessly. And I have been blessed with the access to mail him this fucking book. And the crazy thing is, I mailed him my first hardcover book. Who's calling me in the middle of my show? Is it Rick? Okay. I don't even know who it was. It could have been Rick. Just kidding. He's not receiving it until between 2 and 6 p.m. So the crazy thing is, I sent him my first hardcover, the one that you guys opened with me in episode 113 with Chippy. And what I love about that is that I realized that that has actually always been Rick's copy. That was always Rick's book, because it was on the way to my Hawaii mission, which involved a puzzle piece of Rick Rubin's existence. And it was blessed by me, by Diana Ray Polis, the Blissy artist, by Heather Thrills, Chippy's godmother, by Tamara Wilson, who's just an absolute angel of Planit Butter's everything, and of course my mother, Jan Planit. Those 5 people all had their physical hands in the love contributed to that specific hardcover. Of course, there's a bajillion people to thank in general with everything that is Planit Butter, but those people were very specifically tied to Rick's hardcover copy. And a lucky penny with Chippy before Hawaii. Again, that was in episode 113. So that book was loved and blessed with all the Planit Butter magic, all hands on deck, like I said in episode 113. And that book was obviously meant for Rick this whole time, because then the other day when it became time to send this man the book, it was that book, because I also wanted to write a handwritten note. So I reordered a new hardcover for myself. And the funny thing is, I'm receiving my hardcover the same day Rick Rubin is receiving my hardcover of Intucentric, and is within 24 hours of having sold Chippy. So the amount of energetic space I just cleared from selling Chippy and my former selves, matched with a year-long efforts of Rick Rubin and Planit Butter, I don't even know what I'm saying. Those, like, the potential on my radar is crazy. Frankly, it's so crazy. Like, that is crazy. It's really hard to process. It's really fucking crazy. And it's so cool, because the uni tells us only what we need to know so that we do what we need to do so that the uni can do the cool stuff. And the information that I currently know is really fucking cool, which means what's going to happen is even cooler. And our imagination is limited. So if my imagination is Rick Rubin's flying me on a private jet, and it's really possible, and it's going to be cooler, I just can't wait to see what's going to happen. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane. So, yeah. That's how I got myself excited about selling Chippy, was like, dude, everything you've been working on is like really close to something really fucking cool. So, sell Chippy, keep moving, baby. So crazy. So I'm really excited. It's so laughable that we are receiving a hardcover the same day. Myself and Rick Rubin are receiving the hardcover the same day. Oh my God. And for all we know, I could be waking up to a phone call, or this afternoon. Rick Rubin could literally be calling me this afternoon and be like, I got your book. How did you get my address? Here's the thing, guys. I did say to him in my note that a variety of degrees of separation between us have revealed themselves to me. I didn't write it exactly like that, but I haven't been far off from this person. Like, we've had multiple degrees of separation. I've had multiple people who were my second or third degree of separation from Rick Rubin over the past year be willing to help fulfill my mission. But for one reason or another, they've all fallen a little bit by the wayside, because obviously the uni had cooler plans. And the latest from the uni is blessing me with this address to send Rick Rubin my book. So insane. So that's what we did. So that's what we did. So that's what we did. And that's what we're doing. And now uni's got it. Which reminds me, let's do a quote unquote random page read from my beloved new book, Intucentric, Becoming a New Breed of Human Potential. That's crazy. Amazing. Look what page. I opened to the section titled, Uni's Got It. See, Intucentric always knows. Here's the page. When I notice myself daydreaming or trying to control something, I can tell because it's always when I'm not feeling entirely excited or at ease. I channel my concept of passing the baton, supported with the phrase, Uni's got it. And every time the uni pulls some crazy shit. Maybe you don't need to let go. Maybe you just need to pass the baton. When we pass the baton, we're essentially saying, I took responsibility for myself in relation to whatever the context may be, and now, universe, we pass the baton to the uni. Let's see what you got. When you do that, you can chill out. You did something. You made your move. You took responsibility. This is when the uni comes in and says, ooh, thanks for doing your part. Now I'm able to do all this cool magic. The magic that we don't know about. The magic that is way better than our imagination will ever be. The responsibility that is simply not ours. So, my responsibility? Selling Chippy, staying rogue, and mailing that book. Now, uni's got it. Off we go. Let's see what happens next. There might be a part 4 to this episode. Stand by. Okay, guys, there is a part 4. Here we are. Welcome to Joshua Tree, California. We did sense a road trip. It's just not with Chippy, and we didn't realize where. So, surprise to all of us, including myself, as usual. We're going to round out this episode with letting this be my embodiment of my Intucentric way in my severe oscillation in relation to our boy Chippy. I love to tell you guys that I preach because I practice, and a lot of the show is me embodying my Intucentric way while hopefully inspiring you to begin yours or stick with yours. I mean, damn. What I'm really going to focus on as we round this out is the concept of killing the ego. On Planit Butter, we don't view it as killing the ego because it's our sense of self. It's our luxury as being a human. And we don't kill our senses of self. We integrate our senses of self. And I say senses of self because there's a variety of versions of ourselves. And being Intucentric is fundamentally an evolutionary practice into our ideal self. So in order to evolve, we have to transcend. And in order to transcend, we have to become conscious, take action, and integrate. When we integrate, we are transcending. When we are transcending, we are evolving. So while Chippy is entirely embedded in this brand, while Chippy is entirely a love of mine, while is entirely part of how I have formulated a sense of self, I've also had to transcend Chippy. I've had to integrate the sense of self that was attached to Chippy and informed by Chippy. And that requires this wavering of my present self into my past selves that were informed by Chippy, and spending time with these past selves over the last couple of weeks and integrating them into my current self so that I can effectively move forward. Release Chippy, transcend those parts of myself, move forward. So we move forward. And what did we do? Chippy is a transforming convertible on the world of Planit Butter, as you guys know, as I've told you, in the art, in the books, all the good stuff. Chippy has now transformed into this beautiful white silk dress, which when I was buying it, this one girl, she didn't know I was in the dressing room trying it on, but she was also looking at a different white silk dress and asked her friend if it was too bridey. And I walk out of the dressing room and I'm like, it's not bridey if you just wear it. Just wear it. And since then, I've been getting feedback about being a bride by wearing this. And it's like, you know what? Hell yeah, I am a bride. I am married to my life forever and ever and ever until, I'm not. But why wouldn't you want to be a bride? It's beautiful and it makes me feel beautiful. And like, sure, let's be a bride. There's only meaning if you make meaning, as usual. Chippy has transformed into this beautiful dress and these earrings. There's brown glass as these two little pieces, and then one side has a lightning bolt and the other side has an evil eye, and that just felt really powerful to me. What a balance. And this top, okay guys, I don't want to put it on I don't want to screw up the mic, but I have figured out already 3 ways to wear Chippy in this beautiful top. I'm gonna make an Instagram video for you guys to see all the different options of ways of wearing my transformed Chippy, because I also turned this dress into a skirt with this top and it looked so cool. So Chippy is doing great. Now we get to wear him. Crazy. But I'm really excited because these are vintage pieces. My high-end vintage collection continues to expand. My favorite thing. So I'm very excited about that. And I got this bag, which is also so cool, also vintage. It has acrylic funky shaped handles, and it's this really thick crochet situation with a silk interior and these gorgeous beads. And when I got it, it was hanging in the back behind 2 other purses, and the first 2 were really ugly. So when I saw this one, I called the girl over. I was like, hey, you should move this one to the front. It's way cuter. And she was like, that's so funny because I've actually had it for so long and nobody wants it. I was like, okay, forget moving it to the front. I'm taking this baby home. So we did. So now Chippy has a purse, earrings, a dress, and a top. Ta-da! And that is how we boogie. And I'm so excited. And we are going to wrap this perspective dance with the ego oscillation boogie Chippy love affair up with when I arrived to this magical location in Joshua Tree, California. I crossed paths with a tarot deck. Now, I only do the tarot deck pulling the card thing when I cross paths with a tarot deck. So like the way I just walked into this house and there was a tarot deck, I'm like, okay, I crossed paths with it. So what I do is I shuffle the deck to put my energy into it, and then I pull a card, and then I read what the little book says about the card. And get this. My blanket fell. I pulled a card called the Page of Wands, and then when I went to open the book to read what the Page of Wands was about, I did a quote unquote random page read first. And that random page also was the Page of Wands. So I pulled the Page of Wands out of this whole deck, and then the Page of Wands was also the page that I turned to in the booklet. And then the next day, when I wanted to write down in my little notebook about the Page of Wands, I picked up the book again, did a quote unquote random page read again, and again I opened to the Page of Wands. So that's third time's the charm. And here's what the Page of Wands means. Youthful energy and the thrill of new beginnings. It stands for inspiration, discovery, and the pursuit of one's passions with a free and adventurous spirit, marking a time of exploration and boundless potential. So, Chippy has transformed into this beautiful pieces of clothing and items. Rick Rubin has our book. Well, it says it was delivered. We don't know if he's opened the package per se. Although I also haven't checked my phone in 2 days, so that's possible. And the other funny thing is I saw an interview one time where Rick Rubin says how he has like one of his things with the universe is if he receives something twice, then he looks into it. And so I'm like, okay, with all of my varying degrees of separation that have revealed themselves between myself and Rick Rubin, if he opened that package and received the book once, then all we need is somehow a second little ping to Rick Rubin for him to be like, okay, I'm definitely looking. But also, I can't imagine between my beautifully handwritten note and the amazing book that is available to him now, like I can't imagine that's not enough for him to want to look at it. But that 2-time little boundary he announced in that interview also just pinged me again. And I was like, okay, so we just need one little extra ping to you because the telepathy is not quite working yet. But also the telepathy could be working, but because he doesn't know about me yet, he wouldn't know why he's receiving the telepathy. Like telepathy takes two. It takes two to telepathy. At least consciously. It takes two to consciously telepathy. Let's go, Rick. All right, guys. What a time. Thanks for joining me in another ridiculous episode. Remember, less of a podcast, more of a variety show, and a very funny approach to a documentary series. I'm so excited to see where we go next. From my planet to yours. See you Thursday.